All right, guys, here we are looking at our 1.2 homework number 13. This is a little bit of a more challenging question. So what I want for you to do is definitely try your best with these. I'm going to go over two of them, numbers 1 and 3 together. But I do want you to know just right off the bat that this is a more challenging style question, okay? But again, it is doable, but it is challenging. Now, this would be something that you would expect to see in high school and college, but we do have some solid gifted guys, and they also do need to be pushed. The main emphasis, though, are these ones from the 1.2 homework. And this is a little bit more of an accurate reflection of our expectation for this year. Pretty much all the questions other than 13 are very fair game, okay? But we are going to go over 13 so you can kind of see it in action. So yeah, this is a little bit of a preview for 1.3, but just kind of take it in for as best you can. Okay. So as we go for number one on number 13, we're going to go ahead and we have 4 times this function when we dump -2 into the function. And then we're adding 8 times the function when -4 is plugged in. So the first part that we're going to do is essentially just dump in -2 into the function. And when we do that, we have -2 plus 1 on the top in our numerator and -2 minus 2. And then we also have -2 plus 3. That would be for our first part. So again, we're dumping it everywhere that we have an x value from our function. And then we are adding, we'll change up colors so we can see it a little bit more clearly. We're adding 8, coming from right here, times the function when -4 is plugged into it. So again, anywhere that there's an x value, you're going to place the -4 in there. So -4 plus 1 all over -4 minus 2 in the denominator times -4 plus 3. Okay. So again, that 8 is just coming from this number right in front of us plugging -4 into the function. And right now, it just looks like a lot, but it's essentially just GEMDAS, just a lot of little tedious things going on. So with our grouping, we have 4 bracket. -2 plus 1 is -1. And then -2 plus -2 would be -4 in the denominator. -2 plus 3 is 1. And we'll go ahead and just clean up one at a time. So we have 4 times the quantity -1. In the denominator, we have 4 times -4 times 1. That's -4. And negative divided by a negative is a positive 1/4. Again, negative divided by a negative is a positive. So we have 4 times 1/4, which comes out to be 1. So this entire first part right here, 4 times f when -2 is plugged into it, is 1. Now let's go ahead and try the green. Plus 8. And again, inside this grouping, we have -4 plus 1 on top. So that's -3. All over -4 minus 2 is -6 down there. -4 plus 3 is -1. In our denominator, we're going to go ahead and multiply those two items. So -6 times -1 would be regular 6 in the denominator. And then we have -3 divided by 6. We can simplify that up by dividing top and bottom both by 3. And when we do that, we end up with -1 over 2. And 8 times -1/2 would be -4. So now, lastly, 1 plus -4 is -3 in the end. Again, this plus sign is there, but our value happened to be negative for the green. So in the end, we end up with -3. So this whole thing, 4 f of -2 plus 8 f of -4 is -3 in the end. Okay. So my advice for students generally is to kind of tackle each item one at a time and then do the operation at the end. All right, let's go ahead now and take a look at number 3. Here we have the exact same function, but this time we have -6 times that coefficient. When f of -6, so dumping -6 into the function, all on the numerator, and then f of 5, so essentially plugging 5 into that denominator. Now, what we're going to go ahead and do is kind of just say, hey, this is going to be our top one, and the purple will make our bottom one. And my advice would, again, be to kind of tackle these one at a time. So if we have -6, f of -6, let's just take a look at what that comes out to be. So here, this is -6 times f of -6, dumping -6 into the function. So -6 times what -6 is when we dump it into the function, coming from this -6. So we're going to go ahead and dump him in anywhere that there's an x, we dump him in. So when we do that, we have -6 plus 1 in the numerator. In the denominator, we have -6 minus 2 times -6 plus 3. And from this is just cleaning it up. So we have -6, a lot of -6s. -6 plus 1 in the numerator is going to give us -5 up there. In the denominator, -6 minus 2 is -8. And -6 plus 3 is -3. So -6 times, we have -5. In the denominator, -8 times -3 is +24. And we can't really clean up this fraction right here. So instead, we're going to now go ahead and multiply. So -6 times -5. So negative times negative is a positive. So 30. 6 times 5 is 30. In the bottom, 1 times 24 is still 24 down there. And now we can simplify this. So we can divide our top and bottom both by 6. And when we do that, we end up with 5 over 4. So this entire numerator, the blue part, came out to be 5 over 4. Now let's look at the denominator when we plug 5 into the function. So kind of our purple part. F of 5. Anywhere that there's an x value, we're going to plug in 5. So in the numerator, we have 5 plus 1. And in our denominator, we have 5 minus 2 times 5 plus 3. And now let's clean this up. We end up with, looks like 6 in the numerator, divided by 5 minus 2 is 3. And 5 plus 3 is 8. We can then go ahead and multiply these values in the denominator, because those are getting multiplied. So we end up with 24 down there. And we can simplify this up. So we can divide our top and bottom both by 6. And when we do that, we end up with 1 over 4. And there is this denominator part, 1 over 4. Lastly, we just have this red division symbol going on between the two. So 5/4 divided by 1/4. Well, that's where we're going to go ahead and keep the first guy, 5/4, flip the second guy, and change instead of division to multiplication. So again, just really fast. Instead of a division bar, we can draw a division symbol. And our purple guy is 1/4. So 1/4. We keep the first guy, 5/4. We flip the second guy, so 4 over 1. And instead of division, we change to multiplication. Keep, flip, change. Lastly, we just kind of simplify it up. So 5 times 4 is 20 over 4 times 1 on the bottom is 4. So in the end, we end up with 5 as our final answer. So this whole thing boils down to be 5 in the end. Okay, so that's how I would tackle this, is really kind of breaking up the function, doing parts of it, and then doing the operation, whatever that operation is, kind of at the last part. Okay, but again, these questions, those 4 that you saw with number 13, where are they? There they are. These 4 right here are hard, okay? They're very tough. Just try your best. Again, go step by step. But we definitely believe in a lot of rigor too for advanced math. But again, just being fair, give it a fair shake. The rest of the assignment, though, is pretty fair game, guys. So, like, I wasn't intending this, but I'll go ahead and do really fast, like 14. Here they're telling you dump in -3, right? This is our x value. Anywhere there's an x, you dump in -3. So f of -3 is the same as 9 over -3 squared plus 6. To which then you end up with 9 over, looks like 9, -3 squared is 9 plus 6. So 9 over 15. And then simplifying that, we can divide top and bottom both by 3 to simplify it up. So you end up then with 3 over 5. Normal 3 over 5. So it'd be this guy. So that's what I mean. Not the entire assignment is going to be that laborious and that intensive. All right. For 15 and 16, essentially you're given these inputs, you dump them in, and you see the outputs. We've seen these graphs in class, but really, guys, the game is the same. Okay, so again, try your best with 13. You've already seen 2 of them. Try 2 and 4. But just know that the rest of the assignment is really the heart and soul of it, what I care about, okay? All right, guys, you have a blessed rest of your day, and I look forward to seeing you tomorrow.